Okay, hi everybody. My name is
Hello.
Tanya, and this is our first Cozy Cat Press author chat. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna introduce ourselves. You can tell us your name, where you're from, and maybe your talk a little bit about your book, and then we'll get into some questions. I thought we would start with Patricia since she is kind of the founder of Cozy Cat Press. So let's give it her a second.
Oops. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Well,
I'm talking. Can you hear me?
we can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
now you can't see me though.
No.
Just
No.
I can see your photo, but not.
I've got my camera on. I don't know why it's not working.
Well, go ahead and talk and we'll go from
Oh.
there. We can at least hear you.
All right. Well, I wish you could see me. I went to the trouble to make sure the camera would work, but I'm Patricia Rockwell. You all know me. This is Cozy Cat Press. I wanted you to see Cozy Cat Press, which is behind me.
Oh.
Can't see it.
You can't see it right now. But I'm here up in my study, which is where I sort of run everything, and on my computer. And golly, we don't have any men with us tonight. The last time we did this, we had one gentleman join us, and now we're all ladies tonight, so that's good. It's good to see your faces. Some of you I saw the last time we did this, and some of you I'm seeing and hearing, speaking for the first time. So that's exciting for me. It's good to see you all. It's fabulous to see you all. Wonderful. Welcome. Go ahead, Alicia, take it away.
All right.
I'm going to work on my camera.
Okay, Lori, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Lori Holmgren. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I write the Emily Swift travel mystery series. So far, there are 3 books in it: Murder on Madeline Island, Homicide in Hawaii, and my Cotswolds one. So those are my 3 books. And it's been a hard year to introduce a new book, of course, because
Right.
you know, you can't have events, can't have a launch. So that's too bad. But that's it. Is there anything else you want to know?
No, somebody else. Tanya, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Tanya Stauffer, pen name Tanya Penrose.
Tanya, let's see. Where are you? Oh, she's in the middle. Hi, Tanya. There we go. Okay,
Hi,
great.
Patricia.
Hi.
Good to see you.
It's good to meet you too.
Thank you. So anyway, I live in the mountains in North Carolina near Ashland. So that's where I live. And as far as what I've written, Patricia and I launched my second book in the Shell Isle series, Red, White, and Boom, this week. As
Yes.
you know, because I
Monday.
Yes.
Monday.
Yes, officially, right, Patricia?
I think it may have sneaked out of there a little bit earlier, but Monday was official. Yes.
Got my attention. But anyway, it's my second novel. And I've said this to Patricia ad nauseum, but I'm putting it out there for real. I absolutely love Cozy Cat Press, and I love her. And I am so thrilled that she finally convinced me to do Facebook so that I could meet all because I don't do social media, but now I'm doing social media.
Bravo.
Good.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for the bravo.
And you got your picture going and everything. So you're a step ahead of me. See, you're really, really professional at it, Tanya.
Thank you, Pinocchio. Anyway, that's me. And I am so thrilled to be a part of this community. It is an honor.
We're glad to have you with us.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, Emma, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, hello. I'm
Hi,
Emma.
Emma.
Hi, from Edmonton.
Wave
Alberta.
your hand so we can see where you
I'm
are.
from Edmonton, Alberta.
She is.
There, that's me. And I have done 8 volumes of the Claire Burke mystery series. And I've just completed a memoir called And Along Came Alexis, which is now being advertised in various bookstores for advanced sales. I was surprised to see yesterday.
Wow, bravo.
And it will be out October 1st. And I also I'm exploring the writing of short stories because I've recently joined a writers group online, and it's really neat. We chat for 5 minutes and then we work for 25 minutes. So we have this sense of togetherness, but because writing is a very lonely profession, but at the same time, we have the discipline and organization to focus right in on our writing. And we do that for 2.5 hours at a time. And that's I do it twice a week.
Wow,
So pretty good.
that really is pushing you then, isn't it?
It's,
Good for you.
So far, I don't have to return. I usually like to sneak off to a Super 8 motel in the neighboring town for a week at a time and camp out.
She mentions that in her biography too, so everybody who reads her books knows about where she writes them.
This might take the place of it. Not entirely, because it is nice to get away from everybody,
Right.
husbands, etc. once in a while.
Sure.
Okay, that's me.
All right, Zeta, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Zeta Alfaro. I am from
Hi,
Miami,
Zeta.
Florida. Hi, Patricia. I'm so
Hi,
excited
Zeta.
to finally
It
see you.
is so
meet
good to
face
see you.
face.
I see you all the time. I'm just so anxious to see you live and in person. It's fabulous.
Thank you. I do the Last Note, the Miami Music Mystery series, which Patricia, you'd be happy to know I'm almost done with the second one.
Yay!
So, yes, I know. I finally killed off my second person.
Yay!
I want to say that I'm really excited, and I finally get to tell you in person, thank you so much, Patricia, for, just accepting me into this family and giving my book a shot and the other books a shot.
We're glad to have you.
It's been so amazing. I just, the cat logo is what had me, by the way. Because I'm a cat person. I'm like, they have to sign me. But yeah, so I'm almost done with the second one. So I've been writing and singing a lot. So there you go.
Tell them what else you do, Zaida.
So I'm also a singer-songwriter, and I perform in a band, and I have a couple of records out, and I'm almost going to release some new music in about 2 to 3 weeks. So stay tuned.
Amazing. She's a big star down in Miami.
Can you put something on the Facebook page about when you're performing?
Of course. I try not to post a lot that has nothing to do with my book on the Cozy page, but I definitely will, especially when the new single comes out. It's called Savannah. When it comes out, I'll let you guys know.
Please do.
Wonderful.
Yes, we will support you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
What about you, Jennifer?
Jennifer. There she is.
Hi, everybody.
In the bottom. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi. Good to see everybody.
Volume up a little bit.
Okay.
Your volume, you're a little soft.
Okay, let's see. Put up a little bit. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, that's great.
Better? Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Vito. I write the Piper O'Donnell Mystery Series. There are 3 books in that series: Par for the Course, Country Club, and Murder by the Minutes. I'm actually writing a new series, which is news to Patricia. That's called the Barkology series. And the first book is Poochie on the Prowl, and about a third of the way done. So,
Woo!
Fabulous.
Yep. So,
All right.
trying a new direction, a new series. It's set in a vet's office. And I actually researched, I went to spend a week with our vet in between my real job that I have.
For you.
And,
Now that's really taking research to the limit there. That's great.
Yeah, found out what they actually do behind the scenes for a week. So it was a lot of good stuff that I'm able to incorporate into the book. So I'm really excited about
I
it.
can hardly wait to read it.
Yeah, I'm excited. So.
Amazing. Okay, let's see. And who else?
Karen?
Me. Can you
Karen.
see me? Yeah,
You're a
I'm
little
here.
dark in there, but I can hear you okay.
Should I turn the light on more?
Yeah.
Looks like you have a light on behind you. Yeah.
I have a light to the side of me. The light right next to me I thought was too bright. I can turn it on. We can see. Is that better?
Not really. Your face is still really dark, but
Huh.
back.
Uh,
I feel like a
let me- you know
director
what?
here.
Let me go someplace else. Just a
No,
second.
no, now there you're very visible, right where you were.
Am I? Oh, I was where I was.
Kind of in the where you're standing.
When you were standing up, but we don't want you to stand up for the whole thing.
Good.
A
That's
little
better.
more. I don't know, sit down.
Assuming there's a chair.
This will work.
We're going to bring in a couple of gentlemen that you can kiss now for a love scene. See here, like we're doing a movie.
Okay. Mwah.
Mwah.
Mwah. All right, so it's my turn to introduce
Yeah, tell us
myself.
about
Okay, I'm Karen Sugart. I live in upstate New York on the shores of Lake Ontario, and I write the Edmund de Klerk mystery series. I have through Cozy Cat, we've had 2 books that have been published, and I'm about halfway finished the 3rd book.
Yay.
And yeah, and it's going, each one is a little bit easier because as I get the hang of it, I find I'm not finishing my book with 30,000 words and then figuring out how I expand it. So, which was the problem I had with the first book. I got to the end and it was, I know I don't have enough story. So it was very hard for me, but it gets easier every time. But anyway, I think this Cozy Cat Press is a fabulous fit for me, even though we have a dog. And our dog Gretchen our dog Gretchen, who sadly went over the Rainbow Bridge a few years ago, is
Oh,
she's still a part of the book. However, we now have Nova, who's another beagle, and I'm putting a lot of her personality into the upcoming books. Although I am planning to keep Gretchen through the whole series because I can't bear to have her go in the series. So anyway, but yeah, this has been a great experience. I love to write. I was a journalist and a nonprofit executive before I started doing all of this, but this just feels like the best fit for me. And I love being able to interact with all of you other authors. It's been a fabulous experience.
I guess
I'm a big Zeta here. Karen, I'm a big fan of yours, by the way. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. There are a lot of twists and turns in my books and surprise endings, and the 3rd one has a lot of twists and turns and a surprise ending. So,
bravo.
So for our
Yeah,
next
thanks.
question, I thought we would do, how did you start writing cozy mysteries? And so we'll go around and kind of get everybody's take on how they started writing and how they got into mysteries and cozy mysteries. And we'll start again with Lori, just because that's
Okay. Well, I've always enjoyed reading mysteries back when I was little and read Agatha Christie's. And so I always worked as a professional writer. That was always part of my job. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to write something that was for me, something that I would actually enjoy reading, which was not necessarily true of all the articles and news releases and speeches that I wrote in my job. I thought it would be a little more fun. So I thought of something that I liked, something I would relax with. And I thought that a cozy mystery is something that it's just entertaining. You come out of it with a sense that a story's been told, justice has been done, all is right with the world. You feel good about things. And so I thought I would combine that with the other thing I really loved, which was travel. And so I had been going with my writers group up to Madeline Island, which is a beautiful remote island up in Wisconsin. You have to take a ferry to get there. So that makes it kind of magical and it's beautiful. So I thought that would be a perfect setting to put my first book, Murder on Madeline Island. So that's kind of how I got started writing and I just enjoyed it.
Great. Tanya, you want to talk about how you got started?
Yes, I had just finished my first novel that was I was the opposite. I had 120,000 words that needed to come down to 90,000.
Wow.
So yeah, I went into recovery after finishing that and getting it published. And so I was sitting in my beach chair, and all of a sudden the characters of Shell Mysteries Baubles to Die For, Betsy and Paige, showed up in my head, and I'm like, I'm I'm on the beach. I'm trying to have a vacation, you know, but the ideas just kept coming. And I said to my husband, I think I'm going to write a cozy, only I didn't know it was a cozy at that time. I didn't know. But as I started writing it, the more I wrote, the more I realized what I was getting into. I was way over my head with clue drops and red herrings. And I had certainly watched enough of Agatha's movies and Midsummer Mysteries with my husband, all the British cozies I loved. And so I thought, well, this is going to be the craziest book I have ever written. I don't even know who's done it. And I did not know who did it until I wrote the last scene. I picked the wrong person. So I write differently, I think, than most normal mystery cozy writers write. But
I can relate to
Patricia was gracious enough to take the manuscript and actually find something to like about it. And I do like to write humor dialogue. That's something that I really enjoy putting in my books. And so that's how I came to the cozies, and they're addicting now. I mean, it really is. It's becoming addicting. And I've got already like 3 or 4 story ideas to continue with the Shell Isle Mysteries. And when the readers say to me, how much longer are we going to wait for the next one? I'm like, you haven't even read Boom yet, you know? And that makes me happy. That
Yeah.
makes me really happy. So
It makes me happy too.
thank you. This one, Boom, is a lot more fun, don't you think? The characters this time.
Well, they're both fun. They're both fun.
Oh, you are generous. Yes. But anyway, I'm addicted to writing cozy. So sorry, Patricia.
I'm not sorry. I want you all to be addicted to, not so much that I can never breathe or anything, but you guys produce quite a few, I'm not lacking for something to do every day. You all keep me very busy. I have a pile of mysteries to be working on it on my computer right now. Sorry, Alicia, go ahead.
What about you, Emma? How did you get started in cozy mysteries?
Well, like other people here, I started reading when I was very young, and I read voraciously, and I found I really loved mystery stories. And I read and read and read. I spent my career as a psychologist and working in a university, and I wrote research articles, and I read student papers. But I was really happy to retire. And before that, I had finished this book that had been in my head for many years and sent it to Patricia, and she accepted it, for which I'm very grateful, Patricia. And it's been really great working with her, and the support that I've received and direction. And so I just kept writing, and I can relate to not knowing who does the deed until the last page or so. I understand that. People say, I wonder who the killer's going to be. And I say, I wonder too. And then it just goes on like that. So, and I also feel that same addictive sense. It's a great way to go to sleep at night, trying to think of what's going to happen next in your book. It's a great way to drowse off. That's what I find. So I plan to keep writing, and I'm partway through book 9 right now, and I have a question I'd like to quickly ask. There's a cat in that series, in that home that I'm talking about, a home for people with a co-op setting for 3 people with disabilities. And this cat is quite a proud, arrogant kind of cat, and a haughty kind of cat, as many cats are, I guess. Now, something bad has really happened, and another cat is going to have to move in because a woman who's not quite normal but is needed there is going to have to move in because of some awful things that have happened. This cat was scared at the beginning. He was abused. She was abused, rather. I keep forgetting that. And her new mistress, Hilda, tolerated her because she's kind of a weird personality herself. And so her cat was fine on top of the fridge, and she was fine sitting in her recliner. Now the problem is this cat is going to have to move in, and he's not going to like this other cat, Fergus. And I'm trying to figure out how it is. Can you have 2 cats with different personalities living in the same house? Does anybody know the answer to that?
I have a friend who actually just adopted 2 cats.
Mhm.
Or no, she had a cat for a while and she adopted another one and she has a dog. And they're very different. And what she actually did was she put the new cat in a room with a gate and then let the 2 cats see each other through the gate. And then she let them together for a few minutes and then took them out. And it seems like it's work out okay, that they're doing all right. I don't know if that helps or not.
It may. It
My
may.
daughter has 2 Persians, and Licorice passed away. It's Licorice and Lollipop, and they were brothers. So she lost Licorice. So she brought another Persian kitten, a Claire, and she did the same thing. She put a Claire in her exercise room with a gate. And over time, they started just hanging out through the gate. They did a little hissing. It took about 2 weeks before she could
Yeah.
be together. But that was what her vet recommended that she do in order to introduce a Claire to Lollipop. And they get along pretty well now, except for they fight on who gets to sit on the sofa because that's king of the mountain there. But other than that, they've adjusted really well.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
All right, Zeta, how did you get started in cozy mysteries?
Well, I actually didn't know that a cozy mystery genre existed until my sister bought me a book from Target, and because of the cover of the book, and it was one of Joanne Fluke's one of her first books, The Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder. And so, you know, my sister and I both buy things like wine based off the label, so she shipped it to me, and I ended up loving the book, and I just read like 17 of them in a row. And finally, my sister and my husband thought, you know, you're such an avid reader, why don't you try like writing a book, you know, on yourself. I'm thinking, well, writing a song is completely different than writing a book, because the song lasts like, you know, 3 minutes and a book is like, you know, 35,000 chapters. But I was like, all right, I'll attempt it, you know.
Not in our company. Not 35,000 chapters.
Yeah, and then I saw that there were cozy mysteries about tea and baking and cooking and every other craft you could possibly imagine, but not music. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just put a little bit of my life into my story. And luckily, my drummer at the time he's a homicide detective. So yeah, so it was so easy just like calling him and asking him questions like, if I kill this person this
Your
way.
drummer in your group is an actual real life homicide detective.
Yeah, he's actually
your book.
No, he's
Real life.
Detective. Yeah, Detective Houston's character is actually based off my drummer. Because
Fabulous.
he is a homicide detective, and he became one of my like best friends, and I would call him during the day and ask him like random questions, and he would read the chapters of when a person would die, and he's like, listen, you know, the cops are good, but they're not going to get to a murder like in 2 seconds, because every time I wrote, they were already there, like the cops were already there, and I already knew how the person died. And he's like, no, it takes a couple of days unless it's rushed to find out what the cause of death. I was like, see, this is why I need you, so I know how to kill people. So and
That's
so I
fabulous.
yeah, so I
You have that assistance like that. That's great.
it was amazing, you know. And sometimes I'd call him, and I'm like, do you have a second? He's like, well, you know, I'm standing over a dead body right now in South Beach. And then he would hear me silent, and he's like, are you writing this down? I said, yeah, it's for my book. Just keep what happened, you know. He's like, oh my gosh. And I go, yeah, and it's a cozy, so you can't be disgusting about it, so kind of make it, you know, like nice and cool. He's like, okay. Then I can't tell you about this murder. I'm like, okay, thanks.
That's so good. That is so fabulous.
Yeah, so I took my singing and me gigging, I added a couple of murders to it, and then I sent it to Patricia, and you seriously, you were the first you were the first company or person that got back to me and said, make these changes, because, they always tell you no, and you never know why, right? And I always wanted to know why so I can like perfect whatever flaw I had. But you really took the time. You said, if you fix this, this, and this, then okay. And I did it, and you ended up loving it. So I'm like, this is freaking awesome, and yeah, I became addicted to cozies as well. I kind of branched out, but yeah, thanks to my sister, I got into cozy writing.
What about you, Jennifer? How did you get into the cozies?
Well, I started my literary career as a columnist. So I still am doing that. I write a column called Jen's Jewels for freshfiction.com. And
oh, I like fresh fiction. Sorry.
So I have an author interview column. I interview authors twice a month via email. So after interviewing so many New York Times bestselling authors, I thought, well, how hard could this really be? Because a lot of them are like you and me in the sense that they have like a regular 9-to-5 job, and then they're doing this as a hobby, before they ditch their 9-to-5 job and then do it full time. But their backgrounds weren't much different than ours. So I thought, well, okay, well, let me try this. And then I thought, well, what kind of book do I want to write? And I thought, well, when you write a romance, it's like 65,000 words of I love you, I don't love you, I kind of love you, now I love you, let's live happily ever after. Where a cozy mystery is just gotta kill somebody, and then you write the rest of the book to figure out who did it. So I thought, well, I'll just write a cozy mystery. And I don't like blood, guts, and gore. I'm a Hallmark girl all the way. So I wanted to write like a Hallmark version of a mystery. So that's why I write cozy mysteries. And I wrote the Piper O'Donnell mystery series because we moved here to the Baltimore area from Atlanta. And I was such the outsider and tried to fit in at our local club. And I went there to actually meet people, and they really were serious about playing golf. And I just thought we were doing it for fun. I didn't realize that they were like, cutthroat trying to win. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be funny if I wrote a book about a group of women and this one outsider comes to town at a country club and somebody winds up dead. So that's how I started my series. Of course, it was a really big hit in my town because everybody wanted to read it. They're like, am I in it? And am I in it? Is this me? Is this me? I'm like, of course not. It's just figure my imagination. But, I took bits and pieces from people I've met along the way and made new characters. And it was really a lot of fun to write. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm moving on to another series because just our lives have changed, our country has changed, and country clubs really aren't very popular anymore. That's not the new norm. So Piper is gonna go to sleep for a little while, and I'm gonna move on to a new series and start something fresh. So, but that's how I started writing cozy mysteries. I thought, well, if I have to do anything, it'd probably be easiest just to kill somebody. So that's how I started.
When in doubt, kill somebody, right?
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
I really enjoyed that book of yours, Jennifer. Did you say there were more in the series?
Yeah, so the first was Par for the Course, the second was Country Club, and the third was Murder by the Minute.
Okay, I'm going back.
Oh, thanks.
What about you? How did you get into cozy mysteries?
Who?
Eric.
Karen.
Oh, me. Oh, it's my turn. Okay.
It's
It's a very long journey. I started reading Nancy Drew books when I was in second grade and got absolutely hooked with a strong, independent young female sleuth. And mysteries always seemed to be my book of choice when I wanted to read something recreational. I was an English major when I was in college, and I ended up.
Me too.
Yeah, I think probably were. And, and you read a lot of good stuff, but when I needed something for recreation, I read mysteries. I don't love ones with a lot of blood and gore and violence. So fast forward, my career took a lot of different turns. I taught English for a while. And in between, when I had children, I started freelancing for the local newspaper and eventually wrote a column. One was called Woman Watch. I wrote anything I wanted to. I did features. I discovered that I really have a love for descriptive writing and seemed to be relatively good at it. And then eventually I ended up doing PR and running a chamber of commerce. Fast forward, my husband and I bought a vacation home here where we live now, and it happened to have been an historic home. It's an assistant lighthouse keeper's home that was built in the 1890s. It needed a lot of work, but we drove into town the first time we were exploring, and I said to my husband, "This is my dream town. It's right on the shores of the southern shore of Lake Ontario," and it just felt to me like I was being called to write. It's a small town. It's beautiful. There are a lot of quirky. If you ever remember watching Northern Exposure on TV, that's Soda's Point. We live sort of in the historic district. A lot of very old homes here, and there are a lot of really wonderful but very quirky people. And I started thinking, and I had written after I retired from the Chamber of Commerce. I wrote 2 nonfiction books. One was traditionally published and the other one I self-published. And I started thinking, I really think I want to write a mystery or start writing mysteries. And I'm really big on sort of letting things out there and then they come to you. And so I put it out into the universe and said, okay, I want to write mysteries. Decided that I thought I wanted to write cozies because I'm a big, when you go to the movies, if you remember the old ones, the film noir, there were always fadeaways. There was never anything real graphic. And I just, one night I literally had a dream and I woke up and I wrote down the idea, and it was really a dream about my first book. I didn't know that much about criminal justice. And as it happens, we have a number of friends who are involved in the criminal justice with careers. And one of them happens to be a professor of criminal justice at one of the colleges. And I was telling him about my idea about a book, and I felt like I needed some technical information. And he said, well, our county sheriff's department does a civilian criminal justice course. You have to be invited. Mostly it's people who've had something to do with criminal justice. If you're interested, I can get you in. And I was interested, and it was a 9-week course, 3 hours a week. And I learned an awful lot about the whole criminal justice investigative procedures. I mean, it was really A to Z. I also have a friend whose son-in-law at that point was a commander of one of our big county sheriff's departments. And he and I sat down and I asked him a lot of questions. And then I started writing. Because I had been a journalist, again, and I mentioned this before, I was used to writing very succinctly. And my first draft literally was 40,000 words. And I realized it wasn't enough. And it's very hard for me, it was, to expand, but I did. And then I started to think I really wanted to find a traditional publisher. And there are a lot of reasons for that, but I didn't even know where to go. So I went online and I started looking for publishers locally. And I found one. It kind of looked like she published romances, but I wasn't completely sure. So I emailed her and she said, yes, I do publish romances, but please send me your manuscript. I kind of like to read it. And she read it and she said, I love it. And she sent me to a periodical called Author Publish. And she said, you may be able to find some small independent publishers that fit the bill. And I went there and I found about 40. And I narrowed it down to 5, and Cozy Cat was one of those. And for some reason, I felt like what I read about Cozy Cat made me feel like it was the best fit of all of them. And so I submitted, fully expecting a rejection, because I know as a writer, they have to expect that. I wouldn't have been devastated. I thought, this is my first stab at fiction. If I'm rejected, I may ask her what I should do. So I emailed Patricia. You said, Patricia, you weren't accepting any more manuscripts for that year. And I said, may I email you at the beginning of next year? And you said yes, and I did. And you remembered me and you said submit. And about I don't know, probably wasn't even a week later, I got an email. And I remember thinking, oh, it's a rejection. Oh, well, all right, next step. And I opened it up and you accepted the book. And I remember starting to cry and jumping up and down and telling my husband. And I was so excited. And, the rest is kind of history, but as an aside of that, I submitted the second book last year at the end of the year. And we happened to have been in Mexico with some friends when I got an email from you. And I was actually sitting in the back of a car. It's a really funny story. There were 6 of us in this little tiny car. And in Mexico, you don't have to wear seatbelts. And so one of the smaller men and I were actually in the hatchback part of it driving. And I happened to have my phone and I saw that Patricia had sent me an email and I was panic stricken thinking, oh no, it's another rejection. And Patricia you said, oh, I love the book, great job. And I started to cry and everybody looked at me who was in the car and said, why are you crying? And I said, my second book was accepted. So that's my with writing, and it just feels like something I was always meant to do. It's very therapeutic. It's very meditative for me. I just absolutely, I go to my computer and 3 hours or 4 hours later, I'm there and I feel really good about it. I do know who done it when I start, but I don't know how I'm going to get from A to Z. It just takes a lot of different roads. And usually I don't end up with exactly the book that I thought I was at the beginning. I take notes, but I don't do an outline or write little cards. I just feel like I go with kind of the flow. So that's my story.
All right. Well, we are getting low on time, so we are going to wrap up. Thank you all for joining us. We are recording this and we're going to put it up on the Cozy Cat Press YouTube page. So thank you all very much for joining me.
Thank you all.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been
Great
wonderful
seeing
to
all
hear
of
from
you.
all of you. I love you
It
all.
was
Love you
so
too.
great
Thank
to meet
you.
all you. Oh, and
Nice to meet you.
Patricia, thank you so much for doing the author book. I think it's just amazing to do that with
Yeah.
all the other authors and to
That was
see
so
how.
Try to keep that going probably
Oh
every
my God,
other year.
I love it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.